Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the GMAT channel by PW. How is everybody doing? This is Amit Rora, your VRC expert. All right, so we are very excited to be launching today a brand new series that is GMAT from scratch. ठीक है? जिसमें we will be learning and focusing on very important concepts and we'll be taking them from scratch. Not only that, we'll be also discussing the ins and outs of every topic and then doing different kinds of questions on the same with varying levels of difficulty. Just give me 1 second. All right, so let's get started immediately. What is in store for today for you is we are looking at a very interesting concept called as assumptions, whereas today we are going to be looking at an overview. So all possible doubts that you may have had regarding assumptions, is today the right time and this is the right video to get it confirmed and to get confidence in this topic. Okay, chaliye. So 100% what we are going to be doing today, in this short video, we are going to be understanding what do assumptions actually mean. Please understand and remember, assumptions is the basic foundation of your critical reasoning part of GMAT Focus Edition. If you understand assumptions, you will also go on to understand strengthening arguments, weakening arguments, and of course your flaw and evaluate as well. Most of them have to do with assumptions, so keep that in mind. We will look at the different types of questions that are featured and 100% we'll be solving today in this live session all together. All right. Chaliye, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Amit Rora. I am here as your verbal ability expert. This is my total experience in teaching, training, coaching, mentoring for all these exams, both national and international. I have helped a lot of my rockstar students reach their dream B schools, both in India and abroad. I'm also a visiting faculty where I teach national and international MBA at various B schools. My favorite part is I like to call myself a rockstar creator. You guys are Amit sir ke rockstars. Chaliye, let's get started. So, very basic. Understand critical reasoning ka any passage or argument that comes. All right, 100% you have a premise. What is a premise? Premise is nothing but the starting point. Now, to make it simpler, a premise can mean some sort of data. It can mean any kind of facts. It is the stated part, something that is assumed to be true. Remember, that is a premise. Okay? So 100% the author will start by quoting something, giving you some data, giving you some background. All of that is a premise. Then we have the conclusion. Conclusion is what the author wants us to believe by the end of the argument. So broadly speaking, every argument of GMAT comprises of a premise leading to a conclusion. Okay? And this is how it is. Achha. Now comes assumption. Assumption is this missing link between both of them. Okay? Think of it like the linchpin. Linchpin is the most important hidden point holding the whole thing together, and you can strengthen an argument by validating its assumption or weaken it. I'll explain in very simpler terms. Assumption is here. Okay? Assumption basically is something that makes your premise more strong. It makes your conclusion more strong. So think of it in very simple terms like a house. Let me draw a house. Okay? If this is a house, it's a two-dimensional, very sad looking house, but let it be. This is your premise, which is the roof of the house. This is the conclusion, which is the foundation of the house. The walls holding it up together are your assumptions. Now imagine, if my assumptions are weak, the premise falls. The premise is weak. The conclusion is invalid. If my assumptions are strong, the premise is validated. The conclusion is strong. Ab samjha? So what is an assumption? It is the missing link, or in other words also, assumption is the thought process of the author. So think of it like whatever the author thought before writing the paragraph. Okay? Chaliye. So gradually we're moving forward. Please get comfortable with this topic of assumptions. So it's an unstated premise that is essential for the conclusion to be valid. Unstated. It is never stated directly. No, it is implied. Assumptions are necessary links between evidence. Evidence is nothing but the premise and the conclusion. So people, let's look at some examples of assumptions. The team won the championship, therefore they are the best. That means here what is assumed? Winning the championship implies being the best. So if you win the championship, you are the best. That's for sure. Whoever will win the championship will be the best. Acha, one more. Since he studied hard, he must have aced the exam. Since he studied hard, he must have aced. What is the assumption to this? Studying hard leads to success, leads to anybody acing. So a necessary and sufficient condition. It validates my premise. Acing the exam. Okay? What is the need for that? Studying hard. So if you study, you will ace. Okay? So people always remember, your assumption has to be related. Your assumption has to be logical. Your assumption has to be the starting point for the premise. Alright, chaliye, we are going aram se, don't worry. We are going to solve also so that you get more thorough. So let's pay attention. Assumptions are most often general statements, not specific. People, please remember. Okay? So when you identify the assumption, omit, remove any specific people, places. So for example, if I say Fred has quality A and the conclusion is therefore Fred has quality B. Okay? People, Fred is a specific person. So what is the assumption to this? Assumption automatically becomes most, all folks who have quality A also have quality B. Okay? So we are not going to have something to do with Fred. We are going to have something to do with quality A ka quality B ke saath relation will be there. Something that is going to definitely be equated easily. Alright, making sense, people? I hope this is crystal clear. Okay. Chalo, one more example, just for it to be clear. Now, if I say Hawaii is a place with beautiful scenery, therefore, people there must have trouble concentrating for any length of time at all. Yeah? Now we're talking of Hawaii. We're talking of a place with beautiful scenery. So people start predicting, start anticipating that my assumption should have something with a place with beautiful scenery and trouble concentrating for any length of time or trouble concentrating on work. That is a common sense. That's a given. Thought process has to be a relation between trouble concentrating and the beauty of a place. Now see. Okay? So premise is Hawaii is a place with beautiful scenery. Okay? We can safely assume that. Conclusion is trouble concentrating because this leads to that. So people, what is the assumption? So 100% the logical connection will be people in places with a beautiful scenery. Dekho beta, keyword same to same, don't change it. Generally have trouble concentrating. Okay? And you can say at any length and time at all, but concentrating is important. So keywords, stick to the keywords. Even though it's a little absurd, it's a possible way to state the assumption. So what did you observe here? Keywords definitely work. Identify the keywords and it should be general. We started with Hawaii, but we assumed people in staying in such places will have trouble concentrating. All right, crystal clear? Okay, so people, now this is very important. In GMAT Focus Edition, when you get your verbal section and you get your CR questions, or more often than not, my students and aspirants will get confused. Sir, what category does this belong to? So don't get confused. That's why I've given you a full possible list. Stay with me. In how do you know a question is based on assumption? Which of the following most accurately states a hidden assumption? Perfect. The author must make. Which of the following is an assumption that if true would support? Perfect, perfect. This is assumption. Which of the following, if added to the passage, would make the conclusion logical? Beta, this is assumption. Understood? Which of the following, if added to the passage, matlab missing link, thought process, implied, got it? The wall, now understood? Which would make the, so anything that strengthens is an assumption. Okay? The validity of the argument depends on which of the following. Upon which of the following assumptions does the author rely? The argument presupposes, dekh lo people, important. Okay? Which of the following? Clear? Okay? So all of these definitely keep in mind, all of them are assumption questions. Chaliye, enough gyan. This is supposed to be a short video. We will continue assumptions ke different aspects in different videos. Now let's start solving. People, so here is a question in front of you. We're going to do it together. All right. If you know it, If you can solve on your own, mute it and solve it, then tell me the answer. I'll show you the answer. But now study with me. Come on. The average hourly wage of television assemblers, okay, in Vernland has long been significantly lower than that in neighboring Borodia. Okay? So you're comparing hourly wage of television assemblers here to there. Since Borodia, this one, dropped all tariffs on Verlandian televisions. Okay? So Borodia, no, well, you can import easily. 3 years ago, the number of televisions sold annually in Borodia has not changed. So in spite of the tariffs dropping, the number of televisions being sold are the same. However, very important, transition word, it means opposite. Recent statistics show a drop in the number of television assemblers in Borodia. Hang? Understood? So, Borodia mein television assemblers are also dropping. Borodia mein the television sold annually have not changed. Therefore, so now people, you are concluding. Updated trade statistics will probably indicate that the number of televisions Borodia imports annually from Vernland has increased. So people, now you're making a lot of conclusions here. You're saying that the number of televisions sold annually has not changed. That is condition number 1. Second condition, you're saying that number of television assemblers in Borodia has decreased, drop in the number of television assemblers. And the third final conclusion that you're making is Borodia must be importing, importing annually from Vernland must have increased. Which of the following is an assumption? So now what should you do? How should you think? You should place the option above this. Your option should give rise to the conclusion. So keyword matching is important. Now let us start evaluating the options and let us start eliminating ek ek karke. The number of television assemblers in Vernland has increased by at least as much as the number of television assemblers in Borodia has decreased. So people tell me, can this assumption give rise to that conclusion that Borodia imports annually? So people, yahan pe what are you saying? By the way, what is given to you? What is given to you is average hourly wage of television assemblers is given to you. The time taken by each of them, we don't know other factors. We just know, we don't know whether television assembling in Vernland is the same as television assembling in Borodia. So yahan pe if you assume a linear relation, that's not fair. While you are saying that the number of television assemblers in Borodia has dropped, yahan pe if you are assuming, then Vernland may have increased same rate pe. That means you are having an outside assumption, which is dangerous. No, it has to stick to the passage, people. Wrong. B. Television assembled in Vernland have features that television assembled in Borodia do not. Out of context. We are not discussing television features at all. C. The average number of hours. Okay, interesting. So we discussed average hourly wages. Okay. It takes a Borodian television assembler to assemble a television has not decreased significantly during the past 3 years. People, this is so interesting. Now think. Okay? So the average number of hours it takes has not decreased. It's the same. So people, that means over the 3 years, Borodia ke television assemblers have been assembling the same amount of televisions. That means they have not been increasing this thing. It has been the same. Now, that being said, people, 100% because of this, more number of televisions will not be sold. That means they will have to import annually because Vernland se karna hi padega. Yahan pe what has to increase? Either the televisions produced in Borodia have to decrease. Televisions produced in Vernland have to increase. So this option states that it has remained constant. That means 3 years may safe to assume you'll have to start importing more because it has not changed. So this looks good to us. People making sense? Let's continue. The number of televisions assembled annually in Vernland has increased significantly during the past 3 years. People, this is interesting. But then how do we know कि Vernland में अगर हो रहा है, all of them will come to Borodia? So people, this is invalid. Because we don't know for sure. That means Vernland will only import or export to Borodia. We don't know. So this is wrong. And E. the difference between the hourly wage of television assemblers in Vernland and the hourly wage of television assemblers in Borodia is likely to decrease in the next few years. People, we don't know. How do we know? And that is not the reason why, hello, because of this you cannot have more number of television imports in Borodia. So people, by virtue of elimination and understanding, C is the correct answer choice. I hope this is making sense. Amit sir explained to you how you have to understand the condition, you have to learn to use the keywords, and then apply your logic, and then start eliminating options. People, I hope this is making sense. Chaliye. But in case you did not understand, I have given you a thorough explanation of all the options. Please read this. Chaliye. People, let's continue. We are doing a good job. Kale has more nutritional value than spinach. इसको लिख लेते हैं. Kale has more nutritional value than spinach. But since collard greens, the collard greens have more nutritional value than lettuce. Oh my God, lettuce. It follows that kale, okay, kale has more nutritional value than lettuce. Interesting. Okay? So people, यहाँ पे what are we saying? Kale with spinach is more, collard greens with lettuce is more, so kale with lettuce is more. Okay? So we have to establish a relation between, let's see, come here. Any of the following, if introduced into the argument as an additional premise, matlab assumption, okay, makes the argument above logically correct, except, people, except, matlab, you need to give me one option that will not make it correct. All the four other options will make it correct. Understood? So now people, this is common sense. Let's start evaluating. This is going to be too much fun. Collard greens have more nutritional value than kale. So collard greens have more nutritional value than kale. People, so imagine if collard green is greater than kale, if collard green is greater than lettuce, how can we say kale is greater than lettuce? Acha, kale is greater than lettuce is given. Hello. Kale is given than lettuce is, kale is more than lettuce is given. So it cannot be determined. It could be multiple possibilities. Collard green could be more than kale. Acha, kale is, collard green have more nutritional value than kale. Okay? So people, we are not very sure that because of that, kale can lie anywhere. Okay? Kale could, so then people, 100% A does not make sense. But let's look at the other options also. Spinach has more nutritional value than lettuce. Okay? Spinach is greater than lettuce. Okay? So people, spinach is greater than lettuce. 100% kale is greater than spinach. So kale is greater than lettuce. So this option definitely is, as in it is not, it is correct. You have to mark the option that doesn't support it logically. Remember. So B option is eliminated. B option is eliminated. Spinach has more nutritional value than collard greens. People, same hai. Okay? If spinach is greater than collard greens is greater than lettuce, kale is greater than spinach, kale is greater than lettuce. I'm just mapping everything. So this cannot be the case. I'm tick marking, matlab it cannot be, because it's logically adding. D. Spinach and collard greens have same. Spinach and collard greens. People, if spinach and collard greens are the same, irrespective, kale is greater than this, that means kale is greater than that, lettuce. So my conclusion is valid. This is also contributing. Doesn't make sense. Last, kale and collard greens have the same nutritional value. Interesting. Okay? Now kale and collard greens. People, okay? So if anyways, collard greens is greater than lettuce. If kale and collard greens are the same, kale is greater than lettuce. So people, even this is value adding. Understood? Bacha kya? एक ही तो बचा है. So that is answer option A. A is not contributing logically. A is leaving us confused. B, C, D are adding, contributing logically. Awesome people. This is the beauty of critical reasoning. Very logical, very straightforward, and I love it. Linear thinking. Okay? Chaliye. People, one more. Since we are doing so well, let's keep rolling. Let's go one more. Come on. Exposure to certain chemicals commonly used in elementary schools as cleaners or pesticides cause allergic reactions in children. Okay. Now, elementary school nurses in Renston report that the proportion of school children sent to them for treatment of allergic reactions to those chemicals has increased significantly over the past 10 years. Okay? So matlab 10 years ago there were less children, but now children having allergic reactions being sent to them is much higher. Okay. Therefore, there's a conclusion. Either instance, school children have been exposed to greater quantities of the chemicals, or they are more sensitive to them than school children were 10 years ago. These are your only two possibilities. Now people think. What will your assumption involve around? School children, chemicals and pesticides exposure, nurses, and school allergic reaction, school children going to them. With this in mind, let's look at the options. The number of school nurses employed has not decreased. Beta, we are not debating or discussing number of nurses because there's no proportionality between nurse to school children. Gone. Children who are allergic to the chemicals are no more likely than, beta, whenever there is a comparison red flag, be careful, other children to have allergies to other, out of context. And red flag. We are not talking to other. We are only talking to chemicals and pesticides. So gone. See, children who have allergic reaction to the chemicals are not more likely to be sent to a school nurse now than they were 10 years ago. People, this is so interesting. So what is it saying? That now who have allergic reactions are not more likely. Okay? Chances are less. They are not more likely to be sent to a school nurse now than they were 10 years ago. And that is why there's either of the two possibilities. Matlab, school children have been exposed or they are sensitive to them because people, they are saying that school children are sent to the nurses. Dekh lo. Okay? People, this is most important. Keywords. So keywords are playing a very important role here. And this is leading to this. That's the most important thing. But let's look at the others. The chemicals are not commonly used as cleaners or pesticides in houses, out of context. Be careful. And apartment buildings in Dresden. Beta, why are we considering? We are only talking of schools and school buildings, out of context. Children attending elementary school do not make up a larger proportion of Dresden's population. Reject, out of context. We are not discussing. So once again, by method of elimination and by keyword matching also, answer option C makes complete sense. That's how easy and awesome it is. I hope, if the explanation did not make sense, the notes will make sense, and I hope that the concept is, hitting home ground with you all. That's most important. Chaliye. So like I said, I'll keep it a short video. I'll keep coming with these topics. So just we have started with assumptions. Now we are going to look at trap choices. We are looking at eliminating options. We are looking at strategies, and then you will become absolutely thorough and clear with assumptions concept. All right. So this is what we have managed to do today. All right. 100% I would expect you to please stay tuned. Please solve all the questions, study, revise, and come. And I had a lot of fun putting together this video. Let me know in the comment section if you're struggling with something relating to GMAT. 100% I'll create and get a video. Meanwhile, I'll see you guys in the next GMAT from the scratch edition. Till then, this is Amit sir signing off.